So what are non-current assets? Really all the assets that are not current assets, all the assets other than current assets are non-current assets, but they're also expected to be utilized or converted to cash over more than 12 months. Let's take a look at examples. So going back to our full asset list, if we had to identify the non-current assets, there are quite a few in there. Here you can see building or office is a long-term asset. You will see that the expected time of realization of their benefit is more than 12 months, right? So buildings, computer hardware, we know they are used for longer than 12 months. Furniture and equipment could be very long, 15, 20, 25 years. Then you have vehicles, of course, more than a year. Machinery, land or property, well, land could be forever. Investments, yes, if these are long-term investments, then they are considered as non-current assets. Computer software, goodwill, trademarks, patents, and copyrights, all of them are considered as non-current assets. Again, where do we find them in the financial statements? We just saw that in the balance sheet. And here in the case of Nike, you can see at the bottom, the non-current assets are listed here with the amounts of balances in the balance sheet. Let's look at intangible assets. So it depends on whether the assets by nature are physical or not. These assets can be created or acquired. However, created intangible assets have no book value. Intangible assets can be definite or indefinite, which means that they can have a fixed or defined period. They could also have an indefinite or undefined period. So going back to our list of assets again, the examples of intangible assets are computer software, goodwill, trademarks, patents, and copyrights. And as you can see, all of them are pretty much non-physical in nature. That's why they are considered intangible assets. So the current and non-current distinction will really become important when we look at financial ratios. It really helps to understand which of the assets, and on the same note, which liabilities are going to be settled in less than 12 months or in a short term versus the assets that are long term. And on the same note, this applies to liabilities as well, which liabilities are due for settlement in the short term versus long term, because this really helps us understand the current balance position of a company. So this distinction between current and non-current is important, and we'll see that once we start analyzing the financial ratios. Okay. In the case of Nike's balance sheet, we can see that they also have a couple of intangible assets that are listed on the balance sheet.